Good morning, everybody. My guest this morning is Adam Jankovitz, and his goal is to become an outstanding marketing technologist, a person who brings together strengths in marketing, technology, and social interaction. He's got the unusual MBA consultant's background, but also has a strong interest in technology and good social networking skills. His focus right now is on his company, LeadBerry, which we'll talk about. Adam, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Good. Thanks for joining us. So tell us quickly, just give us an overview of what LeadBerry does and what's your business model. How do you make money?
Okay, sure. I'll try that. LeadBerry is a web-based B2B lead generation software that converts website visitors to sales leads. And it's very important that it's B2B. And actually all this powered by Google Analytics. So the basic idea here is that without inserting any code into a given website, we simply ask the user to connect LeadBerry to Google Analytics, which is actually done by a click of a button or two.
Okay.
And then LeadBerry does two things. First, it aims to identify B2B visitors. So no scam here or anything. We're not trying to go after individual users, just going to try to identify the given company or organization behind that visit, and real-time provide valuable data about that company automatically. So besides providing basic analytics data, obviously, about the company, about prospect companies like visited pages, time on site, bounce, source, and so, contact data, business data, some social data. So let's say, who are your common connections on LinkedIn, and so. So we kind of automate all this process. And regarding the second part of your question, how we make money, it's a good one, because at the moment we do not make, we just actually spend money quite a lot. But
how much are you spending?
Well, it's not really the number, it's really the alternative costs. So, manpower, marketing budget. So where we are at the moment, so we launched LeadBerry in a free beta in October 2016. Okay. And actually the beta phase will end a week from today. So we had to push out the beta phase for several reasons. And so we have kind of the detailed pricing already laid out and the business model that we're going to follow. But the real revenue stream is going to come in only from a few months from today. So we are switching to the paid version on the 3rd of April.
Got it. And this is this will be, when this gets released, it will already have passed that date. So you guys can go to leadberry.com to check it out. Now, Adam, you're in a beautiful spot because a lot of our listeners are in this exact same spot. They've just launched a beta. They're trying to understand how it's doing, and they're trying to figure out kind of what the next step is. So for you, what did you see in the beta that gave you the confidence to say, yep, let me double down on this. Let me put more time, energy, and money into this to keep building it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's, I think, a very valid and great question. So I think what lies behind that is that so how the whole idea came actually from working on LeadBerry. So how we choose to at least proceed the idea of LeadBerry, and at that time it wasn't even called LeadBerry, is just because we saw so many cases when a company was doing this whole process that LeadBerry is doing actually manually, or they were outsourcing it to us to do this process for them. And that's, we just first built this tool as an in-house software to automate, at least on our end, and then we decided to move forward and launch it in beta. And since October we are over 2,000 subscribers, which are, most of them are companies, real companies using the tool. We have a lot of positive and not negative, but a lot of feedback that we had to work on in the last 6 months. And we have over 2 million leads generated for these 2,000 companies. So the numbers and the feedbacks kept us pushing, and we are very eager to take it to the next level.
And so you have 2,000 folks that have signed up kind of over the past 6 months. How do you know that they're going to be willing to pay?
No, we don't, and that's one of the biggest questions in our whole feasibility plan. If okay, that's great that we have 2,000 subscribers. Killing our background here, and then the question is how we're going to be able to convert them to paid users. We don't. We have a game plan laid out on how to what kind of incentives at what point to offer these users, and how to kind of show them that this tool can even be more valuable for them in a paid version. But I think we'll really see once this changes from next Monday.
And how did you get these 2,000 signups? A lot of people listening right now are trying to get their first 100 signups for their beta program. How'd you do it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think one thing, I don't want to divert from the question, but one thing I think is very important regarding our background is that short story that, so actually I am the CEO and a founder of another company called Brandlift, which is a full service digital agency. And and I'm the CEO of Brandlift as well. And here in the agency, actually, we do a lot of stuff that LeadBerry requires to grow and generate new signups for LeadBerry. So we are doing PR, we are doing marketing, we are doing performance campaigns, and we are putting our own stream of revenue and money into LeadBerry at the moment. And so it's a paid and organically growing traffic that we try to convert through our sales site.
And how much money so far have you invested into LeadBerry?
Well, I think this is two different types of questions, right? So if we're talking about alternative costs and in type of having our agency staff to be located and working on something that's really non-agency type of work, and we have several members today already working.
How many?
Three, and some. So three are the ones that who are almost. So one is actually full time. Other two is almost full time, and we have a lot of other. So we are a 20-person digital agency, and we have a lot of other capacities going into LeadBerry, just maybe on a few hours a day, few hours a week type. So that's one half, and the other half is that right now we are throwing somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 a month into performance channels, because here even we are also kind of on a learning curve, trying to optimize and see where this really resonates with our prospect clients at a phase where we don't know how we'll be able to convert them to paid clients. So I think really the next valuable time will be when we kind of do this, and we already are going for signups and well, after a 30-day paid 30-day free trial into paid conversion.
So Adam, if you add up kind of the human expenses, it sounds like one full-time and a few part-time. So add that plus all the paid marketing you've done. I mean, are we talking 50,000, 100,000, 200,000?
Yeah, no, I think 50,000 is a valid guess. That's along that line, something along that line. Yeah.
And then
this kind of evolved. Go ahead. I'm sorry, just one sentence, that it kind of evolved during time. So it wasn't really only this type of dedicated personnel. We had to grow with the task, right? So first, when we were building it, so the other question is when we say it was a start line, right? Because we built it for ourselves, then we started kind of grow it. So it's a tricky question, but something around that is a value, is a good estimation.
Yeah, I think it's such a good piece of advice for folks listening right now, thinking about trying to build their own software company, to start off in an agency, because I have talked to so many agencies where they have all these clients and they start realizing the clients all have the same problem. Then they use their own in-house staff to build a solution to that problem to make their own agency more efficient. And before you know it, you're going, I could spin this out as a SaaS company. And it sounds like that's kind of the track you guys took as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we actually use LeadBerry for our own lead generation.
Have you guys raised capital for it, or is it just totally bootstrapped?
No, and we are not really focusing even on that at the moment. So it's bootstrapped.
Great, yeah. That's great. And then give us real quick, so people understand kind of the platform that is supporting you, and both monetarily and just from a talent perspective, the agency side. So you mentioned 20 people. What year did you launch the agency in?
The agency was launched in 2010, so a couple of years back. We are actually a full service digital. Well, today I would say digital focused agency, but digital. Let's just say a digital agency. And so we have the ability and the luck to work with some really amazing clients, big names from the financial sector, retail sector, and a lot of actually pretty diverse in the ways of sectors. And usually what we do is either online marketing, social media marketing, development work, and actually one of our big chunk of work is lead generation, B2B or B2C type of lead generation.
What other tools do you use for that? Like, I imagine you might maybe use Full Contact, Clearbit, Email Hunter. Like, are there any other tools you use to get leads for your clients?
Yeah, actually, all of those. And to tell you the truth, I'm not using these tools on a daily basis. But for example, these all ring a bell that you just said. But yeah, quite a lot of tools. We're always trying to explore other and unexplored new options for clients and for the agency as well.
And give us a sense of the size of the agency. So 2010 was launch year. Do you remember what your first year revenue was?
We're talking now about the agency, right?
The agency, yeah. Your first year revenue in 2010. Do you remember?
So low number. I don't know. I just erased that from my memories. I don't know, like I don't know, $50,000 or
and how
60
old?
Or
how old were you when you launched it in 2010?
28.
Oh wow! And then fast forward to last year. What was 2016 total revenue in the agency?
Our net revenue was somewhat below $1 million US.
Okay, net. And so what was your net margin? I mean, so does that mean gross you did around 4 million or something like that?
No, I'm using net in another way. I'm saying after taxes and all deductibles like that.
No, that's what I mean. So bottom line, you free cash flow, you basically had $1 million come out of the agency last year. My question was top line. So add back in all your expenses and everything else. Was top line revenue somewhere around 4 or 5 million?
No, I think I know what you're saying. I think So the gross revenue in that form was somewhat above 1 million in US dollars, and if we take net revenue in that type of way, then I would say around well, that's a good question. So, between around 150 to 200,000.
Got it. So a little bit of a syntax question there, but so top line
Sorry
around,
about that.
no, it's okay. Top line around $1 million, and then free cash flow, you're coming out somewhere around 100K. So healthy agency, 20 people. You're based, you said, in Budapest right now?
Actually, 3 locations, but let's just say Hungary and Los Angeles. Yeah.
Hungary and Los Angeles, very good. Now, last few questions here on LeadBerry before we wrap up. So this is a very, the lead space is a very crowded space. There's tons of companies in this space. How do you think, and I ask this question to every company like this that I interview, and their answer is always, we have unique web scrapers that better take unstructured data and structure it to find the email lead, and our bounce rate is lower than anybody else. That's what everybody says, right? What makes LeadBerry different and better than these other guys?
Okay, so we have unique scrape. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so no.
You might, maybe you do.
Yeah, actually, I'll get to that point. But no, actually, how we're different. So since our beta launch, and only after 5 months after launching, became the number one Google Analytics technology solution in Google Analytics app listing, and I think that's already pretty different and helps us differentiate and kind of position already what we're doing, so you can see it on our website all over it. And but other main differences that with LeadBerry is that in this case there is absolutely no development work that needs to be done if you want to get started with LeadBerry. So if you're a sales guy and you don't need to walk over to the IT guy and you get the approval, which can be kind of a problem, and even in a mid-size or especially a large-size company. At least that's what we saw, and actually what we get as feedback. That's a pretty big difference. That here we integrate with Google Analytics, and so the integration is literally done with a click of a button. You don't need to add any codes to your website. It's not going to make your website slower or less secure or nothing like that. It's only the core data is from Google Analytics. And I think that's a big difference between what we do and a lot of other B2B lead gen companies or B2B online visitor identification focused lead gen companies do.
So just to be clear, I give you my Google Analytics, like 6 or 7 digit code. I put it, and I give you access to my Google Analytics. How does that help you get me more leads?
Okay, so how it works is actually you don't even give us your Google Analytics code or something like that. Google has its own process. You have to log in with your account that's tied to your Google Analytics. So you just have the regular Google login interface. We never see this. You never see your password. You never see your username or anything. You just log in, and then you connect your Google Analytics profile or profiles to LeadBerry. And actually, this is 2 clicks of a button.
Why do I do that though? Why do I need to do that for you to give me email leads?
Because we're not just giving you email leads. So what we do is Google Analytics helps in the identification part. Actually, you can do all this what we're talking about and what LeadBerry does today with a tons of manual work. If you log into Google Analytics, you do all the filtering work on a daily basis, you kind of dig in very deep and find these little scrapes of data that you put together, that this might be a prospect lead. And you have some kind of word that kind of looks like a company, and then you start Googling and going after Full Contact or any other database and try to build up the company profile. Who I know at that company, what are the business contacts, what are the business datas about the company, how do I connect, who do I connect on LinkedIn, and all that. And what LeadBerry does is that we put all this together for you automatically at the click of a button, and all this saving you a tremendous amount of time.
I see. So you're not just giving me random leads. You're saying, hey, Nathan, you have 100,000 unique website views hitting your website every month. Let me give you an email of those views, right? So you can then reach out and actively prospect them.
Yeah, and email is one part of the data. You also get, as I said, and what we see, it's very used data, is the common LinkedIn connections to that given company and by yourself. So you have to log into LinkedIn and you'll see your common connections as well, and all the other company data. So you can either use LeadBerry's online interface to kind of on a daily basis or however log in and look at all this data, or we have already a few CRM connections that you can just tie in your CRM. Again, pretty easy processes, and then you get all this data that we collect automatically synced to your CRM.
So Adam, if I have my checkbook behind me, if I write you a check right now for $100,000, would you sell me LeadBerry?
Probably won't. No.
What would the number be?
I'm not sure, because we're not really thinking about this option. I don't know. Probably, I'm not saying there's no such type of money in the world, obviously, but never thought of it. I don't know. Add a 0 or 2. I don't know.
Well, I'm very interested in this space, so we'll stay in touch and take that offline. But let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, Adam, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? I would say Founders at Work is favorite business book. Definitely read it several times and would recommend it to any startupper.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
No one really. I used to listen to a lot of Steve Jobs presentations and speeches and all that, but no time for that really today. But
number 3, what's your favorite, besides your own, what's your favorite online tool like HostGator?
Online tool? We just fall in love with Slack recently, so yeah, maybe Slack, if that's a good.
And how many? Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Well, since I have my second child, this number went down, but usually I'm aiming for 8. But this went down recently to around 6.
6. Okay, good. And so what's your situation? Obviously, it sounds like you've got at least one kid. Are you married, single? How many kids do you have?
Married and 2 kids, 2 beautiful kids.
And they're all under the age of what?
One is half, a little girl, and 3.5, the little boy.
Wow. Holy mackerel. So 6 months and then 3.5 years old.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And how old are you, Adam?
I'm 35.
All right. Last question. Take us back 15 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I would say take networking very seriously. It's going to help you a lot in life if you do so when you're 20 years old and even later. And or in other words, take networking to the top, right?
I am trademarking that. I'm stealing it. There you guys have it from Adam. He launched his own agency in 2010, did about $60,000 in top line revenue. Now in 2016, he has grown it to 20 people, did about $1 million top line, about $100,000 bottom line. He's used the success of the agency to now launch a tool called LeadBerry, which they're using as an agency and they're already using to help many of their clients. They've signed up over 2,000 people in the beta program over the past 6 months, getting ready to release. Actually, by the time you hear this, they've released their pricing data. Again, focus now on building this SaaS business. Adam, I'm wishing you the best, man, and thank you so much for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much. Thanks again.